Video 22. April 17, 2011. We got a video made by the Kaguya probe orbiting the Moon, filming a large building which, by proportion, is quite large. You could tell what it is. Other objects filmed on the surface of the Moon. See, there are large buildings on your Moon. That seems to be a portion that appears on the surface of a large underground base. These lunar bases are used by several companies, including reptilians. There exist large workshops and laboratories for the acclimation of plants and animals as well as other raw materials. Many breeds are working there. We've been in several bases there as well as the Arcturians, our research fellows. Strange it was not reflecting light because usually these bases have an energy field turned on. Mythi, there appeared in the Atlantic huge whirlpools that our scientists and oceanographers cannot explain. In addition to being very large, they were rotating clockwise, when they should run counter instead for being above the equator. What is the explanation? Well, anomalous behaviors of the oceans are due to large variations in forces acting on temperature and magnetic pressure. With the great activity at the edges of all the planet's tectonic plates, the heating of certain areas alter the currents in a disordered manner, causing the regional climate to change, forming a chain reaction. The zone of low magnetic pressure in the South Atlantic is so pronounced that it forces reactions such as this, because in reality, your equator is no longer where it was, magnetically speaking. Eddies rotating in opposite direction to the region, demonstrate the changes in magnetic reversal of the planet, already in progress. With respect to your information in the surveys of the Pacific, what is the course of things? Unfortunately, the news is not good. The Australian plate began to react to pressure. New Zealand must undergo a large increase in activity. Japan is on the verge of major problems in their territories. The volcanic activity will increase during this month. Nothing anyone can do to avoid it. Across the Pacific, the activity will increase due to increased activity in Asia. Another ship of our fleet is rendering us in the Pacific. Let's return to regular activities in the South Atlantic between the island Tristan da Cunha and island Trinidad, near the base of Arcturians. You see, the Earth was originally about the size of Mars when incandescent. Mars was naturally smaller than it is today. The Earth is growing at the rate of its internal pressure equalization with the outside external crust cooled. As the material cools to its atomic reaction, it expands in proportion. This growth is what causes the movements in the tectonic plates, which continue retreating. When an external effect accelerates this process as an increase in solar radiation particles by decreasing the magnetic field of protection, the Earth grows more rapidly, causing cataclysms. That is exactly what is happening in this period until 2013. The main effect of Nibiru in this process will be to force certain boards. The most massive move more than others, and cause high tides sweeping the globe as the Earth rotates, raising the oceans tangentially to their influence. This will be the end of the cleanup process of the planet, preparing for the new era that will start. Mythi. Some friends want to know more about the leaks of radioactive material in Japan because they are there, or close. Could you tell us what you know about it? They appear to be controlled, but in regions where the soil is undermined by the earthquakes. The nuclear plants should be decommissioned and its nucleus concreted to prevent further damage. The danger is not just for them in Japan, this can affect all the countries where the worst will happen. If one of them will sink into the ocean, it will be already concreted to minimize contamination. An unpleasant but possible alternative to avoid the shortages would be the use of oil-fired plants, to enable the shutdown. In our view, as soon as possible of all nuclear plants in the region. But these are decisions that only the Japanese authorities can take if they have discernment to do so. It seems that this comet Elenin was merely a cover for Nibiru. According to unofficial theories, of course. This would be a codename to divert attention because, according to sources, the Russian who had discovered it with his telescope orbiting his yard does not exist. Do you have any news about Nibiru? I really found it weird when you asked me about this Elenin some time ago. I didn't know what you were referring to as the meteor that goes ahead of the Nibiru system because it is not important to be noticed. Your government is deliberately leaking information, just not explaining exactly to what they refer. But Mythi, the Mayans determined the long end of the calendar for the December 21st next year. Nibiru is not a little early? You see, the Mayans did not mention Nibiru literally. They were more concerned about the galactic alignment with the center of the Milky Way. Imagine you have a satellite receiving antenna on your roof. When you align with the satellite, wouldn't it capture the entire energy signal to receive the images transmitted? Imagine now, the alignment of the Sun and Earth in the center of the galaxy, which is the generator of powerful energy that keeps it all together and balanced. The Earth has reversed its core, the large magnet will reverse positions. When this information about the universal movements was passed to the Mayans, they were only answered the questions asked. They were not told about Nibiru because it was not asked. This was different with the Sumerians since Nibiru was present here during their period of civilization, and it then was recorded. The passage of Nibiru is just one more coincidence in this context at the end of an era. With respect to December 21, 2012, the water is already heating up in the fire, and this will be the date it will boil, before it will heat up enough. Our friend Sakram asks, why the Andromeda alien like you doesn't show up and help the world to change in the right direction? Why do you allow this? Sakram, you are part of a civilization that has developed by itself. To be ready, it has to grow on own roots. If you pick the plant before it generates its seed, it will not sprout again. We cannot stop a lesson that is ongoing. I know it's hard to understand as the survival instinct always speaks louder, but you have to understand that to be considered a consolidated race, you must find your own ways to do so. That has to come from within, from your conscience to your aura. As I said earlier, we can help the society remnants to fit the new context, but only after the frequency change of the planet, which is well next. But do not worry about it because everything is pre-established by universal laws. You will always be, I said always, in the right place for you to develop your seeds, be sure and happy about that.